Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. Former Senator, Minister and Trade Unionist Dwight Nelson has died at the age of 72. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says Mr. Nelson passed away early this morning.
He has had a long history of diabetes and wasn't well for the last week or so, and passed this around about 4 o'clock. He was in touch with Professor Denny Delamain, his personal physician, and he died at home.
Mr. Nelson figured prominently as National Security Minister in the high-profile extradition controversy surrounding Christopher Dudus Coke. That precipitated the 2010 police military operation that claimed the lives of more than 70 persons. Mr. Nelson appeared before the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry in 2015, which was set up to examine the circumstances which led to the operation. A trade unionist by profession, Mr. Nelson also spearheaded the bipartisan approach in forging the first social partnership pact with public sector workers nearly a decade ago. Dr. Chang says Mr. Nelson's legacy was his work in trade union movement.
An intellectual cut and thrust to it. All interesting to do with the right. Long discussion of the relationship with the workers and delegates, and that was maybe the best fun time to be around the right when you sit down with reminisce on his days in the trade union. And I think that's where his real legacy is, in industrial relations.
With 2 of the 3 states of emergency set to end in a few days, no date has yet been set for critical talks on the measure between Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips. The state of emergency in St. Catherine North will end next week Wednesday, the one in the corporate area 5 days later, and in St. James on January 31. However, Dr. Phillips told our news center last night that he has received no further word from the office of the Prime Minister on the expected talks. Last week, Tuesday, Mr. Holness wrote to Dr. Phillips inviting him to meet to discuss how the states of emergency can be continued. However, Dr. Phillips has said while he is willing to meet to discuss alternative crime-fighting measures, he will not change his decision to withdraw support for extension of the states of emergency. Children's advocate Diane Gordon Harrison has expressed outrage after a woman left her 4-month-old baby boy alone in a car while she attended a party in Kingston on the weekend. The woman was arrested and charged with child endangerment. Meanwhile, the baby remains in state care and is said to be in good health. TVJ's Shamela Pullen reports.
According to reports, the 32-year-old woman left her 4-month-old baby locked in a vehicle while she attended the popular daybreak party at Sabina Park along South Camp Road in Kingston. Persons who were concerned about the child's safety smashed one of the vehicle's windows to rescue the baby. Children's advocate Diane Gordon Harrison says the behavior of the mother is unacceptable.
Based on what the narrative is in the police's account, I think it was appropriate for the arrest to be made and really to have persons in the nation recognize that they have to make responsible decisions when they have children. There can never be a party or an event that's so significant that you have to sacrifice the well-being and the safety of your child. So many different things could have played out.
The mother was later arrested and charged with child endangerment. She was offered station bail. She is scheduled to appear before the family court on January 8. Mrs. Gordon Harrison says she will be watching the case with great interest.
There are greater issues to me outside of the narrow issue that would have happened, because the greater issue has to be about the suitability of the persons who are caring for this infant to continue to do so, and also really to look at the broader issues that come to play, which I think, well, I'm almost certain that those will be issues that will be in sharp focus once the matter comes to court. So we will have a legal officer there to see exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, come next year, the Office of the Children's Advocate will be embarking on a public education campaign to warn parents and guardians of the legal implications of beating and abusing children.
I've noted, for instance, that there is a criminal penalty if one is said to have corporally punished a child in certain settings. And so we see an opportunity to continue what we have already started at the OCA, which is to have structured dialogue with supporting persons as to what the alternatives are. Because it's going to be very important now as a part of this change that the absence absence of corporal punishment doesn't translate into the absence of discipline.
A joint select committee of Parliament has recommended that the Child Care and Protection Act be amended to prohibit corporal punishment in all public institutions, places of safety and other institutions. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
A taxi operator was stabbed to death this morning following a domestic dispute in Mockingbird, Portland. The deceased has been identified as 36-year-old Michael Sewell, who resided in the parish. His girlfriend is in police custody for questioning. This is the 15th murder in Portland since the start of the year, 6 more than the corresponding period last year. The country's emergency response system is to get a boost in the coming days. Minister of Local Government Desmond McKenzie said 2 new fire trucks will be among the improvements. The minister was speaking at a recent luncheon for members who sit on the respective local government boards.
And we intend to improve the service delivery of the brigade. Next year we're going to be paying our attention to continue to improve fire stations across the country. Next week I'll be opening the fireboat station in Montego Bay. Are we still on? In Montego Bay. And commissioning another 2 trucks, brand new trucks, into the system.
Mr. McKenzie also praised the board of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, for completing the entity's audited financials. He claims that this is further proof that the leadership is eliminating indiscipline from the authority.
We are seeing the results, Chairman Chung. Oddly, it was a fight that I was told to stay out of. And I did. Never opened my mouth once to defend the position of the board on your appointment. But let me say, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't believe that if you support one political party or the other, that doesn't make you eligible to serve.
There are mounting calls for the National Water Commission, NWC, to address water issues in several communities before Christmas. Residents of one such community, Ferry in St. Catherine, say they have been without water for 2 weeks because of a broken main. In addition to unsanitary conditions in households, it's also affecting planned social events.
Put on a liquor organized by some family of mine. It's a every year event. So we continue one unit, but we don't have no water, so we have to use a truck, you know, and I try to get the thing organized from earlier on. Around here, we don't see no really help around here.
There have also been complaints of no water for prolonged periods in Marysfield Estate in Kingston Town, St. Catherine, Stanton Housing Scheme in St. Thomas, and the sections of Waterhouse in St. Andrew, to name a few. Some 1,500 children, senior citizens and homeless persons were given assistance over the past few days. The assistance comes from the Alacran Foundation and the Bob Marley Foundation. Both foundations coordinated to have treats in Trenchtown in Kingston, as well as in communities in Portland, Falmouth, Montego Bay, St. James, and Hanover.
The project is just empowering by the music and the sport. So create all the possibility to for all the talent that you are in Jamaica.
Well, I would like to thank Miss Alexandra for what she has been doing for Trenchtown and Jamaica ultimately. And I would just like to big her up to know that somebody from abroad care for Trenchtown, really unfortunate, really that people, our society has placed in a box, but somebody's there to give us hope.
Trenchtown is the targeted community for Alacran, and you know Bob Marley is from Trenchtown, so we would have had good connection or network within Trenchtown. So our duty is mainly to welcome the Alacran Foundation into the community of Trenchtown.
The Alacran Foundation will have its official launch next year. We go down to news in sports. President of the Jamaica Athletics Association, J3A's Dr. Warren Blake, believes National Sportsman of the Year nominee Frederick Dakers also deserves to be listed for an international award. Daniel Blake has the story.
Frederick Dakers had the season of his life in 2018, dominating the field in the discus throw event. The 24-year-old broke the national record and set the second best throw of the year with 69.67 meters. He also won several titles including the Commonwealth Games and the Diamond League Trophy. However, it wasn't enough to earn him a nomination for the IAAF's Male Athlete of the Year award. J3's president, Dr. Warren Blake, believes Dakers was one of the top performers of the year.
There's really not much more he could have done. He did well leading mass. Nobody came close to him, and he wasn't named at all. He won the Commonwealth Games, Continental Championships, the Diamond League. I personally had expected that he would have been named, at least nominated. Not necessarily winning, but at least nominated.
Meanwhile, 10 of the 15 nominees for the RGR Gleaner Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year awards are from the discipline of track and field. And despite the concerns from some corners, Dr. Blake says there should be no questions over the nominations because of the sport's constant success.
The sport is doing very well, and the criteria calls for performance at international world type events, and there are always a lot of world type events for track and field to participate in, and we tend to do well at all levels. So you would have track and field at least that would rank high using the criteria of world events.
The 2018 RGR Gleaner National Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year Awards Gala will be held on January 18, 2019 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Daniel Blake, TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.